Welcome to Ground Zero, or Ground 120. That's a little bit better. Welcome to Ground Zero. So where are we? Your past experience has probably led you to believe that we're somewhere in the world. In fact, your past experience has led you to believe that there is a world that I can be in right now. Right? It's the same world that you're familiar with. I probably have a different set of experiences, right? A different angle into that world, but you're convinced that I'm in the same world that you are, and that there's something going on in this space that's more than you can see. There's a little teaser that, yeah, this really is more than just a dark wall. So where am I? Why can't you see it? Sounds like a terribly obvious question, right? But actually, it turns out the answer is a lot more complicated than you might think. We're going to cover that in this class. That question right there is ultimately, what is light and how does it influence my perception? You're probably thinking that, well, I have direct access to that world. I just see it, and I see the world for what it is. But the truth is that you see a mere reflection of the world reflected back at you, and only a piece of it. That piece of it isn't available to you right now because the energy that your body needs to access that world is not present in this room in sufficient amounts. But all I got to do is just kind of crank up the energy with a brilliant invention called a light bulb. Woo! And welcome to Ground Zero, as it really is. Articles of clothing, all 12 of them that I possess. And welcome to a little piece of my world. This is my closet. And so now I'm going to rephrase that question. What is this? What do you see? Would you believe me if I told you that the answer to those two questions are not one and the same? So what is this? That's debatable. I'll say for now that it's a shirt. Seems like a reasonable conclusion. Why? What do I see? You might say, you see the shirt, right? It's a shirt. I see the shirt. It is a shirt, probably. But what you see is not a shirt. You actually see energy or light that is reflected onto the shirt and back into your eyeballs. And that sense of energy is one of your windows into the world. And that's what we cover in sensation and perception. How do you gain access to this thing that's around you, this thing that's around me, this thing that we spend our whole time on Earth trying to figure out what our place is in it, for the world. And if you think you can experience the entirety of the world, that everything in the world is right here and you have access to it in this room, right? There's nothing else in this room that you can't see, that you can't hear, that you can't taste. That's an assumption that I would not take for granted. And we'll talk about why that is. But just to give you a little teaser, right? There's actually something, a lot of somethings in between me and that hat right there. And no, there's no camera tricks. I can't see it, you can't see it, but it's there. And that's ultimately the reason why you hear me. There's some particles between me and the hat. Those particles can smash into each other and ultimately press on my eardrums, and I can hear them. Particles like oxygen, carbon dioxide, hopefully not too much carbon monoxide, right? Even just a little bit of that could be pretty dangerous, but it could also press on my eardrums as well. And so really that hat is just another set of particles. What's different about those particles is that they reflect light. I can see those particles. I can't hear them. And in fact, you don't really hear the particles. In a way, you actually do, but ultimately what you're hearing right now is me, right? Because I'm interacting with those particles. So how does that happen? That's what we're going to cover in this course. What is my window into the world that is around me? How does that form my understanding of existence? What's the biological basis of that process? And ultimately, I'm going to suggest that what we're going to study in sensation and perception is at the very heart of who you are. Because everything that you know about the world is something that had to get into your brain somehow, right? And sensation and perception is where it all starts. When you're born into the world, this is your window into what that world is. And what you see, hear, taste, feel, all of your experiences are going to form your understanding of what it is that will lead you to conclude that I'm in a closet. In case you're wondering, that's the temperature control for my water heater, which recently broke down, which is kind of sad. And I got a nice new one, which cost more money than I wanted to. But that's all right. Sometimes life doesn't work out the way you want. So welcome to Sensation and Perception. Welcome to your window into my closet.